Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Des Reacts back with another banger of a video. Today we got the bravest man never to have been awarded the VC. I don't know what this is about. I don't know what it could possibly be about. But we know the Victorious Cross is for super courageous people, and they go above and beyond their Call of Duty, right? So it's gonna be super interesting to me. This was requested via Instagram, so if you guys want to request videos, go ahead and DM me on my Instagram or my Twitter, Des Reacts. It's in the little banner of my header. You guys just click on the links and it'll take you to my page. But yeah, this should be interesting. Please smash that like button if you haven't. Hit the subscribe button and let me know what else I should react to. So without further ado, hope you guys are having a great weekend, and let's get it.
He was a founding father of the SAS, a brilliant leader of men and arguably one of the greatest frontline soldiers of all time. Yet despite his heroic actions and being decorated with the Distinguished Service Order no less than 4 times, Lieutenant Colonel Blair, Paddy Mayne, was never awarded the Victoria Cross. 65 years after his death, some of Mayne's supporters are still campaigning for that supposed wrong to be righted. They want him to be awarded Britain and the Commonwealth's most prestigious award for gallantry in the presence of the...
Wow. Now that award, the detail, I don't know, it just looks really cool. Like, that's a super cool award. And correct me if I'm wrong, those things are made of like the same metal they've been made of for like the last like 300 years or something like that, right? Like something crazy. Let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Blair Paddy Mayne.
Blair Mayne was born in January 1915, less than a year into the Great War, in Newtownards, County Down, Northern Ireland. He was the son of a wealthy Protestant businessman, William Mayne, and his wife, Margaret. Mayne studied law at Queen's University, Belfast, and while there took up boxing, becoming the Irish University's heavyweight champion. He was, in fact, a brilliant sportsman. He also won 6 caps for the Ireland rugby team and played for the British Lions in the lead-up to the Second World War.
Dang! This dude was a stud, bro. This boy was a beast. One, he had a really good upbringing, right? Rich family, that doesn't matter. Studied at Queen's University for law. But not only is he getting his law degree, or whatever he is doing, he was their boxing heavyweight champ of the college, right? Like, you know, of their league conference. And then he won like 6 titles or something like that for the rugby team. Like, bro, this dude, he's something special. You could already tell. Like, perfect fit for the SAS, right? Like, you excel at everything you do.
At the outbreak of war in 1939, Mayne was 24 years old, just over 6 foot 2 inches tall, fair-haired, broad shoulders.
He's my height.
And shy. He was at times a heavy drinker, and there are many tales of his fighting and barroom brawls with any man unwise enough to take him on. However, he would prove to be utterly ruthless on the battlefield too.
Hey.
Peter Forbes, a maths teacher from Newtownards, occasionally conducts private tours to champion his hero.
The people of Newtownards are rightfully so proud of Blair and what he did in his time during the war, that they wanted to show their appreciation and mark the spot of where he was born and where he grew up. Now, obviously, we were all very disappointed he never actually did get his VC and it was downgraded. Blair Mayne will be remembered as the bravest man never to have won the VC.
I'm excited to see what he did.
The Special Air Service, the SAS, was formed in July 1941 by David Stirling, a tall Scots Guard officer who saw the need for a rapid reaction commando force, initially in the North African campaign.
Yeah, and I remember, you know, if you guys haven't watched that video, my last couple of videos I uploaded were about that, the desert raids, and I remember them talking about Stirling.
Mayne, who had served successfully in the Royal Ulster Rifles and later 11th Scottish Commando, was recruited to the new unit.
So he's Scottish.
The SAS's first mission in November 1941 was a disaster, mainly due to appalling weather and formidable German resistance. 2/3 of the unit were killed or captured. However, the next raid was a success, attacking 3 airfields in Libya, destroying 60 aircraft.
I remember that. They destroyed 60 aircrafts and they got then they blew up over 300 planes or something like that total. Man, it's crazy.
From then on through to the end of 1942, Maine took part in many night raids deep behind enemy lines in the deserts of Egypt and Libya, where SAS units caused havoc with their hit-and-run tactics. It is estimated that he personally destroyed up to 100 aircraft and killed many German pilots.
Whoa! Him himself, he personally destroyed over 100 aircraft? One man caused probably in today's day and age, if it was 100 planes, nowadays, you're looking into hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
For his part in a daring raid on
maybe
December
$1 billion.
1941, which destroyed aircraft and petrol dumps, Maine was awarded his first DSO. Promotions to captain and then major followed. In the words of Major Mike Sadler, a highly decorated desert navigator, Maine was a man who would never expect anyone to do anything or to take any risk that he was not prepared to undertake himself.
Look at that puppy.
From mid-1943, the focus of Maine's war switched to Europe, where he led the SAS's Special Raiding Squadron in the invasion of Sicily before attacking the Italian mainland. Maine was awarded his second DSO, referred to as a bar to his first decoration. David Stirling had been captured in early 1943 and ended up as a prisoner in the infamous Colditz Castle. Maine was appointed Lieutenant Colonel 1st SAS Regiment in January 1944. It was agreed that the SAS should be involved in the invasion of German-occupied France, operating behind enemy lines with the resistance.
Yeah, why would they not, right? The first Special Forces, they don't know it's Special Forces yet, but it is type thing, right? They better be going to, the cause of the war, right? The thickest, hardest part to shatter, the Germans.
The success here earned Maine a second bar to his DSO. In early 1945, SAS soldiers were on German soil for the first time, with B and C squadrons under Maine, again keen to get behind enemy lines. On April the 9th, while advancing through northwest Germany, B Squadron came under heavy fire from farm buildings and an officer was killed. Maine responded by launching a terrifying attack on enemy positions. He drove his Jeep across the battlefield, guns ablaze, to rescue wounded colleagues. Lieutenant Scott, who was at his CO's side during the fierce fighting, said later, "Throughout the entire action, Colonel Maine showed a personal courage that has never before been my privilege to witness."
Wait, so is this a movie? Let me know in the comments if there's a movie about him. But guys, you guys gotta put this into perspective, right? This is World War II. Technology, trash, right? We don't have bulletproof vests. There's no armored plates in this time, right? So they're running out there just with jackets and uniforms on. That's why it took a certain different type of courage, right? Nowadays, it's still super scary, right? You can still die in an instant, but you get the kind of, comfort at least that, your vitals in your chest and ribs are protected, right? Unless it's like a bullet, armor piercing round or like a sniper or something. Obviously that's different, but You know, just put that in perspective though. Like, they have no protection.
For this act of outstanding bravery, Mayne was recommended for the Victoria Cross. However, by this point, Mayne had gained a reputation as a troublemaker, particularly after a heavy drinking session.
That's so stupid, man. Like, what's your personal civilian life got to do with your bravery, your act on the battlefield? You know, like when you're back in your barracks, back in town, drinking and stuff, because you get in some bar fights, they don't want you to get the Victoria's Cross. Like, that's so stupid to me. Like, he literally, like, they just showed, like, he saved a bunch of men going back and forth through the battlefield. Like, man, UK's government, man, let this man down.
The recommendation for the Victoria Cross sent to Army Command for approval was crossed out and replaced with a 3-bar DSO to indicate a 3rd bar to his original decoration. It is not known who took this decision and why.
And there's a reason why it's not known, because, you know, there'd be an upheaval, like, over the people, like, as soon as people figure out what he actually did, whoever was in charge, you know, would be ridiculed.
Was it malicious because some saw Mayne's behavior was too wild and erratic? Or was it based on his having not done quite enough in the battle to be awarded the Victoria Cross? Mayne survived the war and was one of only a handful of soldiers to receive the DSO with 3 bars. After the war, he pursued a career as a senior lawyer and rarely spoke about his military service.
Wow.
In the early hours of December the 14th, 1955, after a night of heavy drinking, Mayne set off in his Riley Roadster, but crashed near his home and was killed, age 40.
You hate to hear stuff like that, man. That's sad, dude. Do me a favor, y'all. Don't drink and drive, man. I don't know if you guys have Uber or Lyft in the UK or whatever. Call a friend, bro. Take a taxi. But don't get drunk, then drive. You know, a couple beers, who cares, right? You're just a little buzzed. I mean, you'll be fine. But, like, drunk, you know, he's a heavy alcoholic. He had his whole life ahead of him. You know, he's 40. He's at the middle of his lifespan. And he dies because he made an irresponsible decision. And tell your family you love them. You never know.
Hundreds of people turned out for the funeral of this local hero. He is buried in a family grave at Movilla Abbey Cemetery. Roy McGowan, then a 16-year-old garage mechanic, remembers Mayne. Now aged 81,
Damn.
McGowan owns a Jeep of the type used by the SAS during the war. He was one of the last people to see Mayne alive.
Yeah, well, he, as I say, he came in to pick the car up. He wanted it for that weekend, and of course we know now it was for a Masonic meeting. And the mechanics were working at it, but there was some part they needed for it, and they said that they'd put it together for him to use it the weekend, and then he would bring it back on the Monday. And unfortunately, he was killed then that weekend in it, on the Sunday, early on Sunday morning, I think it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. He called into Bangor to some of his friends and had a few drinks, and there was a coal lorry parked in the street with no lights on it, and he ran into the back of it, and the car went up the side of the wall between a pole, and I think people were scared to go near the car because of his war record, you know. They would have knew all about him in case he thought he was in the war and strangled him.
Oh yeah, I mean
Maine's
PTSD.
uniform and his trunk containing a mass of photographs, documents and memorabilia were generously gifted to the War Years Remembered Museum in Ballyclare, County Antrim, by his niece, Fiona Ferguson.
Wow.
David McCallion, the founder and curator of the museum, spoke about Maine and the collection.
His legacy has to live on because he is one of the most decorated soldiers to leave this isle. Not just an Irishman, an Ulster man. He inspired so many others. His battle trunk, which actually went to the front.
Yeah, sorry, he's Irish, not Scottish. That's right. That's right. But yeah, no, that's incredible, man. He's one of the most decorated from their island, right? Ireland. Like I think he should have got the Victoria's Cross. Me personally. Is there any Irish people that have gotten the Victoria's Cross?
Lying with him, and inside it was all his personal paperwork, letters to and from soldiers, their wives, on his actual recommendations for the DSOs, and his uniform.
As someone with a lifetime interest in bravery, including writing 6 books on courage and amassing the world's largest collection of Victoria Crosses, my respect for Maine's courage is immense. Did his valor deserve the Victoria Cross? Absolutely. Should we now go back and reassess whether he is entitled to the award 75 years on? Probably not. Simply because it is impractical to review such gallantry awards decades later when the witnesses are long dead. Perhaps Blair Paddy Maine, the courageous but maverick war hero, is destined for a place in history as the bravest soldier never to have been awarded the Victoria Cross.
Damn. Wow. That was a good video. Let me know what you guys think about that. Like, I agree. Like, you know, 70 years later, right? 60 years later, is it really necessary to change the award? You know, to award him the Victoria's Cross since his family's dead, right? His, you know, all of his witnesses and peers that seen the battle, he's dead. You know, dead people can't take stuff with them, right? So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, how you guys feel about that. But man, if you guys enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment on the video and your guys' thoughts and feelings on this, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.